right, thanks for joining us, everybody here. My name is Mark Andisi. I am co-founder of IRMAA Certified Planner and also Healthcare Retirement Planner, here with my co-founder, Paul Morrison. And today we have Mark Clark of Prestige Planning out of Lakewood Ranch, Florida. So Mark has been using the IRMAA information for quite a bit, so we wanted to get him on here to see how he's doing with it and get some feedback from him. So Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like your practice, what you're doing, and how you're helping people out?
Sure. Thanks, Mark and Paul. I appreciate you guys taking time to have this conversation. Prestige Planning, we are a forward-thinking risk management firm. That's our purpose. We do quite a bit of high-end property casualty risk management business, as well as core financial planning. We don't manage money like your typical financial advisor has a custodial agreement with Fidelity or Schwab or somebody, and the focus is around the portfolio. Our focus is truly about the planning, and that planning, the risk that we are looking for. Many of our clients, very high net worth, will have less than 5 or 10% of their total net worth in stock market assets. Yeah. The interesting thing is those who do have net worth are usually in qualified accounts. And we have embraced the IRMAA certification and the IRMAA process primarily from a knowledge base. It's you don't know what you don't know until somebody tells you you know something, and now you're responsible for doing something with it now that you know what you didn't know before. Right? So keep up with that one. And that's what we're asking our clients to do, right? Keep up with it. We've had a couple meetings in the last couple days, and the conversations have been one is an early retiree. He's in his early 60s, and the other is a gentleman in his 70s who's been a longtime client. And our conversations with the 77-year-old are, how do we keep out of those? Now, remember, I had this client before I had a good handle on IRMAA. Actually, I had the client before IRMAA existed. Yeah. So that's not true. I had the client before I knew about IRMAA. Yeah, I'm like, whoops, messed that one up. See, the training works.
Nice.
It's in there.
Very nice.
That client said, I'm bumping up against this Social Security thing that they take money back. I said, oh, you mean the IRMAA surcharge, aka the IRMAA tax. Yeah. So we spent a good deal of time in the conversation. We happened to have software running where we were being intentional. And actually, this gentleman is very charitable. He likes giving to his church. So we're taking his RMD, and we're giving the RMD to charity because he's old enough he can do that. Yeah. And that's one of the elements that helped us have that conversation about doing that is the IRMAA. It's staying away from, he's bumping into the first level, but we definitely don't want to get him into the higher levels, right, which we could do very easily. The second one is a gentleman who's an early retiree in his 60s who's got a majority of his money in qualified accounts. It's multiple millions of dollars in qualified accounts. And as we're forecasting and looking at his retirement cash flow, the IRMAA content that's now, it's in the wheelhouse in here running around, that's not necessarily manifested in the software that we all use for planning, but it gives us the ability to have that conversation of why you want to talk about managing the exit of qualified money in a tax-efficient way, yeah, with an intentional plan to do that. And there are multiple ways we all know that we can do that, but the content and the knowledge has helped us be intentional. And that, I think, is the most important thing. From the client's viewpoint, I think it's just the fact that we're knowledgeable about it and we can speak more to the details of the tax. It's a tax, than just being, oh, okay, here's this Medicare chargeback that we're going to get. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, and I think a good point you just brought up was, based on the types of softwares that you're using, there's a couple things in there. The first thing would be, hey, I don't even know about this thing, so I don't even know it needs to be modeled within the software. Two, okay, now I know about this thing and it needs to be modeled correctly in the software. And I know for us over here at Retirement Planner, we we see the marketplace doesn't even have the ability to do that within software, which is why we created ours. But again, if you don't even know that it's a thing, then how are you even going to be able to model it out correctly and help save those clients?
Yeah, and I think, the sad thing is it's not accounted for.
Right.
And the sad thing is it is something that's not talked about. And I think as an industry, and this is me, if I offend a few people, I apologize in advance, but
Welcome
sticking our
here.
heads in the sand is not a resolution, right?
Right.
Um, I was just in a meeting this morning and talking about different disclosures and things that we say we make recommendations to our clients, right? And if the client doesn't take the recommendation, that's fine, but we're responsible for communicating, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, here's what we recommended. You made a business or personal decision not to implement our recommendation. We just simply want to document this. And I think at least we're responsible for saying to our clients, hey, in retirement, there's this IRMAA surcharge, IRMAA tax that's coming that you're likely not aware of,
Right.
and likely nobody's talked to you about it. What planning can we do to make sure that you're not paying more of a tax than what you really want? And the funny thing is, when I say that, they go, "I don't want to pay any tax." Well,
Right.
yeah, I don't either. So that's why we want to do the planning. It's funny, I haven't bumped into, and if you think about where I live, I'm in the retirement capital of the world, and every person from the Northeast is on our interstates moving south
Oh
because
yeah.
they all want to come to the free state of Florida, right?
Oh yeah.
Not to go down that road, but uh, I have not bumped into a lot of clients unless they've gotten an IRMAA letter that they even know what it is, and do they even know that there is a surcharge or a tax coming?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we see. Back in November, there was about 7 million IRMAA letters that were delivered to Medicare recipients, basically stating that they're going to hit IRMAA. And a lot of people don't know it's even coming down the road until they get that letter. Years ago, when we started doing this, there wasn't a lot of, I guess, free publicity from the government about it. And now, you're getting a lot of those things, especially with the, type of client you're dealing with. They're going to get hit with that and not know what to do. And at that time, it really narrows down the options that they have to help mitigate that. And trying to find and getting ahead of that is where you want to be. When you're in your early 60s or late 50s, trying to plan ahead for when you do hit that retirement age.
Yeah, I feel like there's a demographic that's underserved, and probably we should pay more attention to. And the ultra wealthy, people with 50 plus $1 million, the impact won't have that great of an impact on their retirement, but the tax will have an impact on their opinion, because nobody wants to pay a tax.
Right.
And it was funny. I had a conversation the other day. Well, this was with the 77-year-old client. We were talking about his Social Security check, and his comment was, "Man, what a great rate of return I got on all the Social Security taxes I've paid over the years." Right?
Oh yeah.
This is not a solicitation for privatizing
Yeah.
Social Security. Anyway, that conversation was quite interesting. But the middle of the road client that's between $3 and $10 million, that their Social Security's gotten a bump in the last couple of years, a greater inflationary picture, where $50,000-$60,000 of retirement cash flow, with a married couple, make it 45,000. I don't care.
Yeah.
You start clawing a significant portion of that back, that has a massive impact on their intended retirement cash flow. And as we all know, in the IRMAA certification can have a doubling effect, because now if you got to pull more money out of your qualified account to make your spending, your monthly spending needs, well, again, so this is where I think one of the underserved or undercommunicated demographics is the 50 to 60-year-olds who still have their heads down, or in their prime earning years, are going,
Yep.
okay, I'm almost to the finish line. Don't talk to me about, I just want to sell my business. And again, these are the people who don't have significant portfolio-based assets, but have a significant net worth that may be tied up in real estate
Right.
and closely held businesses, that they're just not having these conversations. And they're stuffing money into, qualified plans. And surprise, best time to do the planning. You never pack for vacation 10 minutes before your plane leaves, right?
Oh,
You
you
kind of
don't?
well, some people. You want to plan that out. You sure don't want to end up in the Bahamas with a ski suit, right?
Yeah, it's true. And one of the things that we've heard echoed from clients is, you've touched on it briefly, is you have those higher net worth clients, or anybody really that has a significant amount of assets, which could be 500,000 in retirement assets above. You scrimp and save to make sure you're saving that. You work your life on the Social Security side to put money into Social Security. And if not knowing this information, number one, you may lose that Social Security that you've relied on as a pillar of that retirement. And then once you lose it, you might actually end up having to pay extra for your Medicare. Those people that have watched those pennies for years and year in and year out, they're not happy because it's no, well, they have 5-10 million, they'll be fine. No. Those are the people that have really watched those numbers, and they don't want to pay an extra 100 grand because their Social Security is no longer there. So yeah, you're I think you're dead on with how people look at this.
Yeah, Mark, there's a double down impact on that. And we didn't talk about this before we were recording this call. This is just one of those things that plopped in my head. They happen a lot. But you think about inheritance.
Yeah.
And this is where good planning comes into play. The worst thing somebody can leave to their beneficiaries is an IRA, right?
Yep.
So not only is there a personal reason for you to plan for how to get your money out of the qualified accounts in a tax efficient way, so you're not pushed into the IRMAA brackets, but there's also the same impact for your beneficiaries. I'm dealing with 4 beneficiaries right now who are under the age of 40, who are inheriting, over $500,000 each.
Yeah.
And by the way, it took 4 years for the estate to settle.
Yeah.
So they've lost 4 years of the 10-year spend down.
Yeah.
So the taxation on that qualified money is massive.
Yeah.
And nobody had the conversation with. The client wasn't mine before she passed away. But the point is, the risk management is not just, well, my house burned down. The risk management is, how much will Uncle Sam take from what I've worked so hard to accumulate? And it's the same equated conversation back to what my client said the other day. Man, I am so happy I got such a great return on investment for the Social Security dollars that I saved over my entire lifetime.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, it's definitely true. Paul, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add in here.
Yeah, when you're Mark, when you're getting in front of these 5 to 10 million net worth clients, do you have any interactions with their CPAs at all? Can I kind of describe kind of those discussions you have, if you do, with CPAs, and kind of your discussions with IRMAA and the CPA?
Man, you're asking me to step into a deep hole there, my friend Paul.
Skip over it.
Shorten up the hole a bit. So.
Look, we love our CPAs, we love our attorneys. I go back to where I started this conversation, gentlemen, and that's, you don't know what you don't know. And these professionals are receiving the IRMAA letter, and oftentimes by the time you get to the IRMAA letter, you still have some planning opportunity. But I've been using it for the conversation of saying, what can we do for the clients who are nowhere near getting an IRMAA letter, but are going to get one? What planning can we bring to the table, and how can we help you be tax efficient? Yep. And, it's oftentimes not fair to the CPAs, because their clients bring them things after the fact, and expect them to work a miracle when the calendar's flipped over. Right. So again, I think the power, to your point, Paul, is collaboration with those CPAs to let them know, hey, you don't have to just wait for this letter to show up. We can put some planning in place today before the letters are going to come. And I think that helps them look better. That helps them be more informed. Yep. And the same thing for the attorneys. They're trying to look for what's wrong with things. And unfortunately, this is one of those things that doesn't hit their radar until holy cow,
Way
yeah,
too late.
this was an issue.
Way too late. All right. Well, thank you for this. I guess to wrap it up, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with, or any kind of last nuggets of information that may again pop into your head?
Give me a minute, something else will pop in. I'm kidding. You know, that's the way it goes. No, I mean, I got introduced to IRMAA and your team in an unexpected way in the middle of a study group, and I was kind of mad because I realized that this is such a massive issue. And I was mad because I didn't have time to deal with it. But now that I was made aware, I had no choice but to deal with it. So my encouragement to anybody listening to this is to get educated and dig deeper. It is more of an issue than a lot of planners I've talked to really give it attention to. And that's, if I have to leave you with something, you know, do your own due diligence, like with anything else in life. Don't believe what the media is telling you. Don't believe what I'm telling you. You know, go dig deeper. And your team, Mark and Paul, has been an incredible resource for us and helping our clients.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Again, everybody, this is Mark Clark from Prestige Planning out of Lakewood Ranch, Florida. Any questions, send it out to him. You can get it to us also. But thanks again for listening. And Mark, really thank you for your time on this. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.